published our competencies on our website about a year and a half ago, and so we are letting schools get out there and play with them, and build their kind of units around the competencies and begin to get acclimated to the idea of defining mastery and taking multiple pathways to that and having different kinds of pieces of evidence of mastery. So our schools, our cohort schools, our design schools started beginning to engage with the competencies and performance indicators and the district definition of mastery about a year and a half ago. What's happening now for us is we are moving the rest of the district work down the line to support that. So we are doing things like defining what are the habits of work in a competency-based model. Of course, you have behaviors reported separately from what kids know and can do. So what do the habits of work need to look like district-wide? What are the assessment and reporting tools and decisions that need to happen? What are benchmark assessments and what does evidence of mastery look like? And then, of course, as Aaron mentioned earlier, we have a group attending to policy shifts that need to happen in the district. And so we accomplish lots of work in our district through task forces. So we convene, various stakeholders together to make these decisions, provide guidance, do a lot of legwork and research, and then they turn it over to a senior staff for final decisions. And then, we close down the task forces or continue them on just based on the particular set of work that they're being asked to do. So we have a number of subcommittees chipping away on all of those things at the moment. It probably would be good for us to check back in with you in a few months once they've gotten down the road a little bit further with their work. So these next couple of slides are just going through what each one of those subcommittees are working on right now. Their due dates for their tasks are essentially June. So what they're going to do is make their final recommendations and or complete their tasks by June. We're going to spend all next year communicating, stakeholder engagement, schools continuing to get deeper in their competency work and performance indicator work. We will begin to shift the reporting instruments, so report cards, transcripts, to be competency based, and our actual kickoff or actual kind of hard deadline for all schools to be committed to competency-based is the 18-19 school year. So we've taken a few years to research this, build the task forces, build consensus, and I agree with what Aaron said earlier about really want people to be committed, not just compliant. And so we want wide understanding and commitment to this work. So we're intentionally moving thoughtfully, strategically, and more slowly toward the shift of competency-based over the next year and a half or so. So these are our next steps for us with our competencies, and really just thinking through this idea that there was a time when we were all headed in all different directions and our arrows were sort of going everywhere because we had an existing reality of school autonomy. The arrow in the middle picture defines we have a district vision at this point, and that we're beginning to align the arrows, the school arrows and the district level arrows in the same direction as the vision. And of course our goal is the arrow down in the bottom right hand corner, which is all schools, all district processes and staff directionally aligned with advancing student agency. If I were to pick an arrow to say where we are right now, it's really kind of the middle arrow. We've got some things headed in the right direction. Aaron's disagreeing with me. I think we have some things headed in the right direction. I think we still have some schools that need to be a little more clear about their own journey in advancing student agency. And then we're in the process of aligning district processes and procedures to align with advancing student agency too. Go ahead, Aaron, who disagrees.
No, I agree. I was just going to add, having some comfortability with the ambiguity of some of this is important. Like, it's more important to be doing than to be worrying about getting it right when you get started. So having schools in different places or not having every policy sorted out has actually worked well for us as a process. I mean, it's frustrating along the way, I suppose. But we figure out that there's stuff that we worried about 3 years ago that we didn't get to because there was too much to do. That was probably good we didn't do it because it would have just inhibited some of the other things we wanted to do and move forward. So like when we started school redesign, we knew we didn't have the competency-based diploma policies all sorted out yet. But we knew that the philosophy of the work that we wanted to do was more important than getting that diploma rules kind of sorted out. And so it was good that we started having people change their practice before we had everything in the policy changed. And actually what we're seeing is people are now coming to us and saying, you know, this grade program that we have with this 0 to 100 scale, this doesn't work with what we think is important for kids to learn. So instead of us as the district saying you've got to get rid of a 0 to 100, we have folks who are coming to us and saying, this doesn't actually tell you anything about what we're asking kids to do. So it's changed the dialogue and the discussions. And so, yeah, I think we are probably that middle arrow as we make changes to things, but it's really about doing things and heading in the right direction, and then it is about making sure that everything's right before you start. Just reiterate that point.
Last thing I just wanted to say to you, and we would be really happy for anyone to come visit us, to see our schools in action, to come talk with us if you have district people or you know, KVEC people who want to come talk with our district people or our school people. We are happy to host people all the time. We have benefited from getting to go see this happening in practice in other schools, and so please do come and visit us if you can. We're pretty close, and we have one of the places that we visited that we learned a lot from was Taylor County, Kentucky, and so we are happy to host people all the time and have conversations because we think that helps us get better at our work. So I would extend an offer to come visit and bring people with you if you'd like to come see schools and or district stuff in action in Henry County.
That's
One note.
That's fantastic for the invitation. If you would put contact information there in the text, and that'll become part of the recording as well. And just can't thank you enough for the invitation.
One last point on that is in our school redesign process, we have a requirement where schools have to create what we call a pay it forward plan. And that's an expectation that they will host folks from around wherever who want to come and see what they're doing, and that they be very transparent about their journey and their growth, not to come in and say, look how awesome we are, but to say, this is where we are at this point, what can you do to help us? And
thank you for having us. I hope the rest of your meeting goes well, and hope that we'll talk again soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay, bye.